welcome to Society's Secrets. This is Madame Maddox and Maddox Publishing, and today I'm interviewing Alicia Trew. Alicia Trew wrote her first book, not last, to my understanding anyways. It's not her last book, but her first book called Losing Michele, and it is set to go to pre-sale November 6th, and I'm going to just skip all the glamour and we're going to dive right in. And I would like to just introduce you to Alicia Trew. I want to first and foremost say thank you so much for being on my podcast and my talk show, and also for being one of my authors for Maddox Publishing.
My pleasure.
Yeah. If you could immediately just dive right in and tell us a little bit about Losing Michele and how you came up with the title, Losing Michele.
So the title was a tough one. We went through a few versions. Everyone just didn't feel right. So what I did was start talking. What I do is I talk to friends, I talk to family, I kind of just process things out loud. And one of my friends mentioned a couple of title options. And she said the words Losing Michele, and I was like, that's it.
Do you remember what some of the other options were?
I do not.
Wow. It's like, so I was going to say something really smart ass, but I just changed my mind. I'm going to let it slide. Okay.
Which is rare for her.
No, I had something really smart ass to say, and I'm like, never mind. We're just going to keep it rolling. I want to know how you came to the idea, pretend nobody knows, how you came to the idea of writing a book, and what prompted this whole thing, and where the idea stemmed from. You can go ahead and just say me.
It was. But so I've always wanted to write a book, just not on this topic.
What would your other choice have been?
My other choice of book?
Yeah, what were you?
My other choice was going to be, I'm an identical twin. So I thought it would be really cool, actually, to write about our childhood, different events from different perspectives. One thing about being identical twin is everyone thinks you're the same, that you process the same, you think the same, you see everything the same. The original book was going to be that we go through situations that we went through as children, and I write one chapter with my perspective and how I remember it, and then the next chapter was the same exact event, but with her, from her perspective and how she saw it and how she remembers it.
We talked about this.
We did.
I don't know that it's ever been done, so if you try and steal the idea, I will come for you. I still think you should try and get your sister on board. And you were saying at one point maybe bringing your mom into the concept as well, because I think that's a really, even without like twins being involved, just having two people experience the same event, but it proves that like perspective is everything.
Yes.
So you can have two different perspectives on witnessing a similar event or the same event. And I think that's still that's a fantastic idea. But that's not what you did.
No, it's not what I did. Me and you met and we started talking about publishing and book writing.
Could we talk about that? How did that happen? Can you tell me a little bit about that experience?
Of meeting you?
Yes, what was that like?
No.
Besides,
No, we can't.
No, the world needs to know. They need to know how this whole process started.
This whole process started as I walked into a establishment that sells alcohol, not in the best of mindsets.
Bar? You're saying a bar?
A bar,
okay.
Sure. And me and you started talking and debating and arguing, and then back to debating and talking, and thoroughly enjoyed ourselves, actually. I think so.
I agree.
Yeah. And then
mainly because I'm super funny, and I also know a lot of different things, and you've never met.
I think I may have helped in that situation a little bit.
I also have really bad self-esteem.
Okay.
I'm very modest.
Yes, I see that. I see that.
No, honestly, we've become really close friends. I'm not like this with everyone on their interviews. I tend to be a lot more serious, but also Alicia here has been very nervous, and I'm just trying to show her that there's really no reason to be nervous. It's just moi. And honestly, I will say that our encounter that night, I think you really needed somebody who challenged your thought process, because at that time you weren't in the best of headspaces. Through our conversation, that kind of brought you out of your negative thought process and brought you into a newer perspective where you could change the scenario.
So let's be real. So I've always had a idea to write a book because my life actually is very tumultuous. So sharing that has always been something I wanted to do because I feel that other people can feel that people understand, and they've also been through similar situations.
Absolutely.
So you and I having that debate time at the bar,
Yeah.
got me thinking a little bit. So it's not necessarily the time to do the book I originally thought about, but when hearing Maddox's vision for Maddox Publishing, I got motivated.
As you should. As you should.
And intrigued by what she plans on doing and what she wants to do. And I think it's a fantastic idea. And so I just was like, okay, how can I help? And that's partly because, one, I am way too helpful. And two,
She is actually really helpful.
I wanted to pay Maddox back for what she did for me that night, because she did. She did help me see the brighter side of things. She offered a few books that I could read that could kind of get me out of my head a little bit, which I'm one of those horrible overthinkers. So getting me out of my head is the best thing that you could possibly do.
Oh, yeah.
That's what started it.
So, again, perspective is everything.
Yes.
And even though you may have already had the idea to write a book, I am so grateful that you chose this book to write, because I have seen such a tremendous change in Alicia in a very short period of time. It gave you a distraction as well. I think at that time she really needed a distraction that wasn't self-destructive. And through that process, I saw such a beautiful outcome, and I've seen a remarkable change in this person. She's already an amazing human. Her heart is so big. It's just so big. None of us really can, unless you've been there, experienced heartbreak on a deep, deep level. We don't know how we'll respond to it. That brings me to the title. What is Losing Michele?
I remember what the other titles were.
Oh, okay.
So
Something sparked that. We're just gonna derail slightly.
I thought at one point to do Healing is Greater Than Coping.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yes.
Yes.
And healing does not equal.
Healing doesn't, or isn't equal. It was like the non.
Does not equal coping.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Because what the book basically, begins as is, I discovered that however introspective I am, I was not healing, and I was coping, and I was going day to day, and I thought I was doing well, but I was not. Those were the ones that came because I thought I was doing good, kind of pulling around and overcoming things that happened in my past. And it just turns out that something happened in my counselor's office, and I was merely living day to day and not being the better person that I now know I could become.
Yeah, which I have also witnessed is a lot of the self-discovery moments through the writing, and Let me start by saying such a talented writer. I have read a lot of books, and I have said this to her, to the editors, to my ghostwriters. I am blown away. We didn't use a ghostwriter, by the way, it's all her. And I have to tell you, I very rarely get to experience writers that are as well written, as well as she does such a phenomenal job of taking really hard topics and finding a way to put some dark humor in there. So even when you're like like crying, all of a sudden you're laughing, you're like, I shouldn't be laughing here, but she makes it an easy read by tapping into all of the emotions that somebody might feel when they're grieving. I couldn't put it down. I would read, when she would send me the chapters, I wanted to have a moment where I could read it all the way through and be able to give her a literary review right then and there. My thought process was new and fresh. And there were times I'd get like frustrated because I'd have to wait maybe a day or two, but I always enjoyed reading your chapters because I knew that even if it like made me upset or tapped into an emotion that made me feel vulnerable, there was always going to be like a little bit of humor tucked in there so that it slid down a little bit easier. And she's just a remarkable writer. There really wasn't a whole lot of editing to do. And that's rare. That's just rare. One of the harder topics to talk about is death. Yeah. While we all know that death is inevitable and we are all, the minute we're born, we begin to die, which is crazy, right? And we always have this thought process that our time we don't think it's going to be us or somebody close to us. It's always somebody that we know, or a lot of times that's how we perceive it, especially when we're young. We never think it's going to be somebody in direct access to us. And sometimes we experience that loss that hits close to home, and it just shatters your belief system in what life and death is really about. And that's where Losing Michele comes in, talking about a really difficult topic. But I want you to first tell us the significance of the title Losing Michele, but I also want you to I want the significance of November 6th and the date that the book will be released to the public as well.
My wife was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. That kind of spread everywhere. And that kind of course, upended our lives. And I was dedicated to make her life as comfortable as I could. To make sure she knew that she was taken care of and she was loved. And when I lost her, I kind of went through as we all expect, a difficult period. And so I took myself back to counseling, and we get through the grief stuff, and you touch on things, and you're sitting there, you're like, okay, I expected this. Okay, we go through, the denial, we go through the negotiating, we go through just being completely, out of it. We went through those stages, and then we just needed a break. There was no more processing of that grief to be done at that moment. I needed to internally process some more before we could continue down that path. So my counselor looks at me and says, okay, what's next? What do you want to talk about while we wait for you to process this? I had some trauma from my childhood that I have thought I had worked through a little bit, but didn't realize how much it affected my everyday reactions and interactions with the people that I love and that are close to me. Mm-hmm. And so I was in my counselor's office one day. We got on this topic that she said something that struck me. If anyone who's watching this knows me, I never not have a comeback. I always have a response. I always have a comeback. But I didn't this time.
Always a comeback and something either witty or asshole-ish. Asshole-ish.
See, the universe also did not want you to call me an asshole. So I went through this counseling session and literally just sat there staring at my counselor, going, oh, heard, processing, got it. And I left the counselor's office and I was processing all the way home. And it came to me, I find myself a slightly, intelligent individual.
Just slightly.
And introspective, because I've always been trying to be a better person. And then just realized that...
The kids would say woke.
Woke. Okay, woke. Internally woke.
Yes.
But this simple statement just stopped me in my tracks, and I'm like, this is 20 years too late. I should have, it's such a simple concept. I should have realized this 20 years ago. And it would have made my life so much different. I would have interacted with my loved ones so much differently. And I would have just been different.
I have the strong belief, though, Alicia, we could always say would've, could've kind of thing. Oftentimes life deals us the situations that we experience because there are lessons that we have to learn in this life. For both of us, we met for a very specific reason. There isn't a timeline to healing. I needed to experience those things, and I kept experiencing similar things repeatedly because it wasn't my turn to grasp it yet. The timing of when we met is when it finally clicked. It all kind of put itself into place and the puzzle pieces finally fit. And I don't think you should be too hard on yourself.
I'm trying not to be too hard on myself.
Because I think she's remarkable. No matter how many things I say on the side here, she's great.
But that realization of something so simple to process, if you just hear it differently and process it differently.
I get that.
I wanted to write a book about that and how it could have changed my life and how it could have made the last couple of years of the hard times I was going through with my wife different or better, and I could have learned differently. And I wanted to show others that there's different ways of processing and different ways of thinking of the past and trauma that can help you move forward in your life with a positive dynamic. And that's what the book is about.
That and a few other things. I feel like she just kind of with a big broad brush, just painted over it. And that is a lot of what it's about.
Yeah.
It's so much bigger than that. I want to talk about the significance of your pre-sale date being November 6th and your actual publishing date.
Believe it or not, I only started writing this book. Literally, this happened and I started chapter 1 6 months from 3 days from now.
Yeah.
So it was less than...
Unheard of, by the way. The process that we have been able to pull off is really because of her dedication. Most authors, it's usually from the writing process to finish line is about a year, and then your publishing date is within that 3 to 4 months after. And she is just really motivated.
If the universe would have fell in my lap, I actually would have released the distributed book on November 6th because that is Michele's birthday. And that her birthday was always her favorite time of the year. It was all about her. She didn't have one day, she had a whole month. And she loved her birthday and made sure everyone knew it was her birthday. So I wanted to release it in memorial to her on her birthday. That didn't work out as we wanted to because of the strict timeline of how fast this book came together. So we are doing the pre-sale starting on her birthday, but as the universe has it, She actually passed away 1 month to the day from her birthday. So pre-sale starts on her birthday, and the distribution of the book will be on her death day, which is extremely significant to all of us who were close to her.
And that's actually the exciting part. This is like a little surprise, and partially why we're doing this live is there is a little bit of a surprise that I was gonna tell Alicia, but I'm gonna tell you live. So for one, the pre-sale will be still happening November 6th, and it will be available for purchase on Maddox Publishing. But the big surprise is the cover is officially done today, and it's available to see, and she can see her imprint, and also it's beautiful. It came out great. So the cover actually came out today, and it looks amazing. And so we were really excited to share that with you, and I wanted you to know live in front of your friends and family that everybody pulled a lot of strings to make that happen. And the government shutdown, believe it or not, has actually affected publishing as well on a lot of levels, because you have to get your copyright, your publishing say the word.
Legislation
Thank you.
and ISBNs.
Yes. So all of that is actually pretty much affected by the government shutdown as well. And so the fact that they were able to even get the cover available for her today is amazing. And I'm excited. And you will all get to see it when I send it to her. That was not expected, because it was going to come out and be published with the book. She would be able to see the cover with the book, but that happened today. So,
And believe it or not, that was probably the best teamwork we've done, is
Yeah.
to develop that book cover.
yes, she and I worked hard
Many hours.
on the book cover. It was a lot of different concepts, and definitely many, I like this, I don't like that. And it was really, actually, I enjoyed collaborating with you. It was a creative collaboration, and I think the outcome was really amazing. So
It is.
this girl even got her cover tattooed on her leg, and it looks amazing as well.
Yes.
So big things are happening. And like I said, it will be available, pre-sale will be available on November 6th on Maddox Publishing. That's where you'll be able to purchase the book on November 6th. Let's talk about the cover itself. Describe the cover so that people understand why it's so important.
I am super proud of the cover. The cover, I had a vision of what I wanted the cover to say and what I wanted it to mean. And not everyone saw my vision. So it took some, that's not what I'm thinking about. I think a lot of people found out how stubborn I was in this process. But the cover is a phoenix that whose tail is extending downward into roots of a pink rose bush. And the significance is my wife's favorite flower was the pink rose. And the phoenix, as most people know, means rebirth. Having that rebirth kind of lead into
growth.
It leads into the plant to help it grow and give it the fertilizer. That's the word I was looking for. Fertilizer for that rose bush to grow. And so it goes from rebirth into growth. And that's what this entire experience has done for me. I have been reborn and grown into a better person because of everything I've learned in this process.
The most beautiful part regarding losing Michele is, yes, it's terrible and heartbreaking that you lost your wife. The outcome made you a better person. Certainly would rather the person that we love and care about and is our partner and our rock in life to be by our side as long as possible. However, if we have to lose a person that we love, may it bring us the same amount of self-awareness.
And what's beautiful about it is the one thing that me and Michele both absolutely 100% agreed upon was that your partner should always want to, help you be better, lift you up, be a better person, help you towards your goals. And even with the loss of losing Michele, she helped me become a better person and to live a better life. And it just feels right to me.
What was the hardest part about the writing process?
So even though I started with the realization, I went through how the last 6 months, well, actually, I think I went back 15 to 18 months, but how it was the hardest of my life watching this person who was my best friend, the love of my life, everything to me, slowly lose everything that makes her her. And I went through that process and relived her passing away and her degrading over time and what that did to her and what that did to me and our family. And that was hard to relive that. Yes, it was devastating all over again. But at the same time, I feel that's what I needed. I needed to go through and tell myself I did everything I could. I did not leave anything on the table. I did not leave anything unsaid. I did my absolute best to make sure she was comfortable and had dignity.
I love that. What was your favorite thing about Michele?
My favorite thing about Michele actually was her sarcasm.
Okay.
Her sarcasm and compassion. Because believe it or not, she could use both of those attributes in the same sentence. And it was beautiful and hilarious and loving and warm all at the same time.
What do you miss the most about Michele?
Do I miss the most? I miss my partner.
Yeah.
I miss us balancing each other out, because I am definitely a A-type personality, and she was not, but she was strong enough to keep me in bounds and balance me to a point where we just made each other better no matter what we did. And that's what I miss. I miss being able to bounce ideas off of her. I miss talking to her. I miss her sarcasm when she thinks I asked a stupid question and so she gives me a sarcastic answer. I miss, her better ideas. If I came up with an idea, she had a better one, and then we collaborated and the end result was the best it could be. I miss my partner.
What would Michele say about your book?
About damn time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think she did a lot to try to help me overcome the things that she always knew that kind of drugged me down sometimes or made me get into a certain mindset. And she would try to, show it at me in different lights or talk to me. And I'm a stubborn MFer, and it always didn't compute. And I think that even this one idea that just started this book and the fact that it finally computed and it finally got me to process things just that much different is what she would be most proud of.
Do you think you're a better person?
300%.
Why would you recommend someone writing a book?
Self-reflection. So there's one thing about self-reflecting in your head and going over, you know, an event that just happened or trying to see it from someone else's perspective. But when you're trying to write it to where other people who weren't a part of the situation to understand what happened and what was going through your mind, you see it from a different angle and you're like, I could have done this better. And not even, you know what, I did this perfectly and this is, you know, the way it should have been. But maybe another event you realize, yeah, that was me. I did that. It wasn't my best self. And this is what I learned from it. And I move forward. One thing I can absolutely say is writing a book will not change the things you did in your past, but it will help you see it from a different angle and help you not make the same mistakes in the future.
Yeah, because it technically becomes part of your history. When it's written down, it's putting something in a finite way. It is now in ink on paper. And it's sort of like we say about history. We can take down the statues and get rid of the paintings. The history books still are there. And the whole point about history, the amazing thing about history, is it's there to give us examples of what to do or what not to do. The wonderful life that you've lived together, and also a reminder of how you could be different or what you could change in a future relationship. You know, it will never change the remarkable relationship that you had for 10 years. Through our own personal conversations, you said there were definitely things that made you recognize that you could have been a better person. I think that's true about anyone. It takes two people in a relationship, and no one's perfect. We make mistakes. We're human beings. Being able to reflect and recognize your areas of improvement is huge, and it's very brave. In my opinion, it's exactly what I said about you the other day. I want nothing more than for you to have whatever you want, whatever goals you have for yourself. I want that for you because you're somebody that deserves the best. Your book not only will show that, but I want the world to know what an amazing human you really are.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And one thing I think what makes my book more unique is that I don't only process off the page, I process on the page. There's a few times I'm sitting there, I'm, you know, writing and I'm describing a situation or describing my thought process or why I did something, and then something just clicks and I'm like, well, I'm a son of a bitch. I completely just lied about what, you know, the thought process there. I'm like, I could have done that better. I should have done that better. And this is what I should have done. And this is what changed my mind. And I think that's very important when you're dealing with individuals as personality A, as me, is you can be in the middle of a situation. And if you discover that this is not the best me and I could do this better, then what better time than right then to make that change?
You are one of the easiest authors I've ever worked with, in the sense that she would get a literary review back after each chapter and very willingly made those adjustments. And that makes it so much easier. That's why the book was able to be published in the time frame that it was because you were able to take and reflect on what was being said and not look at it as a personal attack, which sometimes happens with authors. Is they have it in their head that they want it written a certain way, and they're not recognizing that it's about flow or how it's going to read to the audience.
What makes it easy for me and you to work together is the fact that you don't want a story to be told a certain way. You want the story that is real, and
Authentic.
you want the person to tell their story. And most of your changes and your advice was to, hey, this doesn't come across as clearly as it could for someone who was not there. So maybe expand on this or kind of pull back on this a little bit. Not once were you trying to change my story,
Right.
or change my viewpoint, or the way in which I was trying to tell my story. You were just making it more understandable to someone who wasn't there. Your mission was to help me tell my story better, help it be easy to take those reviews well.
All right, we're going to wrap it up today. Thank you, Alicia, for joining me today on Society's Secrets with Maddox Publishing. Don't forget, her pre-sale starts November 6th. You can find her pre-sale book on maddoxpublishing.com. And exactly 1 month from then, December 6th, her book will be available on Amazon. Thank you again for joining me today. And to our audience and viewers, thank you again for all of your support.